Black magic, God, Holy Ghost, Lord, orgasmic, order more acid, more than 4 tablets, portal door passage, born before mortal war happened. We were lords way before we were poor black men. Now we like Catherine, only having 4 Jacksons. Sword of pure magic, slaughter 4 dragons. Heat like corduroy fabric, door-to-door tactics. Easy like tortoise on boarded floor backspins. Rapping like the man that created it, and I just play with it. Shine radiant, raising it, sunbathing it. Voice tone sharper than razor tip. When I aim it at megaliths, make them raise and lift. You can't relate to this, even if you paint a pic of me and you and somehow make the faces switch. I like to babysit, throne made of baby skin, donated by natives that procreate in sin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him. I heard the devil's Tasmanian. Raps made them spin fast, vast, hailing winds. Abstract radiance. Underneath my cracked cranium is gas radium. Hash Cascadian, cash cascading in. At the end of the movie, the crack baby wins. Pack track stadiums, clap, clap, praising him. Tap that waitress, have crack.
Peace, family. This is Brother Rich reporting from BAM. Brooklyn, what does BAM stand for?
Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Brooklyn Academy Music Memorial Day Weekend Festival. I'm here with the brother Raz Ben. If you know Raz Ben, you know it's going to be a talk on extraterrestrials, crystals, all the stuff that us black folks are scared to talk about. We've been taught to shy away, run away from that topic. And we've been taught that that topic has no interest of us. We have bigger fish to fry, like white supremacy, so we need to focus on that. We got brothers like this brother right here in the community, allowing us to expand our mind, allowing us to think outside the box. So with all that being said, my brother, I'm glad to have you back on this program. And I want to ask you, I want to get an update. What's going on right now with your research and everything you got going on? What can you tell me about, you know, what's going on with the extraterrestrial nation at this point?
Star Nation.
Star Nation, yes.
Yeah, man. The Star Nations, they've been very busy, you know, for sure. Particularly, you know, that pyramid mothership, you know?
Right, right.
And I would say, like, from the last time I really built with y'all, the biggest thing was April 2016. A couple of pyramid motherships and orbs appeared over the Giza complex.
Okay. Okay.
And it was, you know, it was definitely not CGI because it was filmed by multiple people. Same sighting, filmed from different cameras, you know, because they were there for a minute. So, you know, that's something to YouTube out and search and really see for yourself.
What did that symbolize? That April whatever 2016. What was that about?
Well, I mean, they've been doing things to get our attention from, you know, a very long time. I would say intensely since 2009. And at least we could say it's been documented because everybody has HD cameras on them. So when the sighting occurs, they're able to capture it. That's one of the biggest differences of the time we live in right now, you know? And so that you have all of this first-hand footage that you're able to study, you know? Now you do have to have a discerning eye and mind because there is the CGI trickery out here.
Right, right.
And deception, you know? And you know.
So let me ask you, would you say this Star Nation, would that be us, the future us, trying to communicate with the past us, the present us right now? Is that
one way
accurate?
to look at it, but you can also look at it as our family, okay? Because there's many nations, there's many kingdoms. You know, like we have to work with all of the kingdoms of creation, right? So that includes the mineral kingdom. That's why we work with the crystals. We got to work with the plant kingdom. That's why we work with the herbs, you know, right? We got to work with the elements, the earth, air, fire, water, right? And we got to work with the angelic kingdom, the heavenly host, right? Which, if we want to use, let's use the Ethiopic tradition, because it's the one that has, like, I think for us, one of the clearest visions of what we would call angelology, or the hierarchical structure of the galaxy, you know? And at that seventh heaven, right? They say there's seven heavens. At that seventh heaven, which in astrophysics would probably be called that, they call it a black hole, but it's a black star at the core of our galaxy, about 26,000 light years away. Only three orders of angelic beings are allowed to enter there. That's the seraphim, which are beings of living fire. There's the cherubim, which are beings of living water. And the Aphanim, or the Ophan. And these are humanoid beings, meaning they look like us, right? And genetically, they're very similar to us. But where we have carbon in our body, they have silica. That's the biggest difference. This is from my study. This is what I've been able to
Isn't our carbon
discern.
turning into silica? I read that somewhere. Is it true?
Carbon and silica are analogous, meaning they look alike.
Right, okay.
Molecularly. The only difference is silica is metallic and conductive. Carbon is non-metallic and insulator. So that's the biggest difference between, but they are structured and look similar in appearance as far as their molecular configuration. And they're interchangeable, you know? So that's the best I could articulate as who this heavenly host is, the Ophan, you know? And they want to work with us. They're our family, you know? They say, enemy of my enemy is my friend. Same people that are troubling we are the same people they're here to check and make sure that this fuckery doesn't spread throughout the galaxy. You know, they want to keep the insanity contained right here and actually help us get up out of it, you know? But right now we're in a state of helplessness. We can't be helped. You know how, like, you got that cousin? Seriously.
Yeah, we all got
you
that.
You have that cousin.
We all got it.
That you want to help him, right? But just the state of mind he's in, he has to put himself in a position to be helped before you could do anything. That's our condition as a collective. You know, and the first thing we got to do is be aware of who's who when you see these craft, right? And then know how to respond. Because if they were to appear right now, let's say that bam, Pyramid Mothership appears right here, right now. How many people in this crowd gonna hurt themselves?
Right, indeed. Now, what ancient civilization do you think, if there's one in particular, dealt with this type of information the most? Like, for those who might want to research it, is there a particular civilization, Sumerian, Egyptian?
Well, there's not any particular one, but all of the ones have certain features. One is monolithic or megalithic architecture.
Okay.
Meaning the buildings that they create are made of one stone, carved, like, you know, what they call the Sphinx or the Akar or the obelisk of Aksum. right? Those are monolithic structures. Or, as well as the churches of Lalibela, those are monolithic structures. Or megalithic structures, structures that are made with large stones, like the Giza pyramids, or the pyramids in Olmeca and Maya land. And also a complex calendar system, and they tend to be agriculturalists.
So when people say things, a lot of the black historians get offended when they hear things like, you know, the show Ancient Aliens, is that what it's called? When they say things like the aliens built the pyramids, a lot of our historians feel as though that's taking credit away from the black man's ancient accomplishments. So do you think there's truth to that statement that ancient aliens built the pyramids?
There's absolute truth. See, they're thinking in an either-or paradigm.
Oh, okay.
And also, in their quest to find our place in the historic timeline, find our place in history, right? We fought so hard to find our place in the historic timeline. And it is true that Euro-centered historians, right? You know, the way they'll paint the picture, it was anybody but melanated people that were creating these things. So it would be the Phoenicians or the Hittites, you know, or ones from the Mesopotamian Valley, or just anybody but we, right? But the thing is, I would say, and you know, like, I have a degree in African American studies. I have a master's in it. I studied under Molefe Asante. So I studied with these African-centered scholars. I was fortunate enough to go to Kemet in 1987 with Asa Hilliard. And that was the year there was a large ASCAC conference out there. And so Dr. Ben, a lot of the other scholars were still out there. So I had the, you know, I could say like, yeah, I'm one of them that, with the Bentu tribe, right? I've been to Kemet with these cats and, you know, heard from their mouth, you know? And I honor all of their teachings because, you know, they are definitely valued, right? But there was a degree of conceptual, what they call conceptual incarceration, where we were working out of Africa evolution paradigm that Euro-centered researchers promote. And so we wanted to say that we've, like, there's this, somehow we evolved from these biped primates in the African savanna, developed this amazing technology, right, from the door, right? And then the technology waned, we lost awareness of it through and that would make it actually a de-evolution of history, a de-evolution of us. You know what I'm saying? Am I moving too close?
Yeah.
My bad. All right. So that doesn't add up. That doesn't add up. Moreover, there was conceptual incarceration in the way that we interpreted cosmology. Because Euro-centered cosmologists, Euro-centered historians labeled our cosmology as like myth.
Right.
No foundation in the manifested reality we see in front of ourselves. Okay? So, nowhere in our cosmology does it say that we came from risen monkeys. We came from fallen angels. We came from Star Nation. That's what all our cosmologies say. Okay? Whether it's Kemet, Dogon, Zulu, biblical, okay? You name it. You name it. They say we have a celestial origin. So our scholars weren't thinking both and. They felt any attempt to identify the star nations as the innovators of, or the origins of monolithic and megalithic architecture, right? That it was negating our role in it as well, right? Which, you know, it's both and. It's not either or.
He called it perceptual incarceration.
Conceptual.
Conceptual incarceration.
And that's not my term either.
I like that term.
All right, that's not my term, man. That's a concept within African-centered scholarship to identify, like, when you're you think you're decoding something from our center, but it's really coming from a European program viewpoint. Okay, so I can't claim it. I'm just using it.
Now these star nations, we're fallen angels. It seems as though we just all can't seem to get along at times. It seemed that way in antiquity. It seemed that way when Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark was around. It seemed that way when Marcus Garvey was around. It just always seemed that way, like it's always been tribalism. So did we come from different star nations and that's just how it's meant to be? We're not meant, these star nations aren't meant to unite here in this realm?
Well, no, I would say the star nations do want oneness. They want us to be in oneness with everything, including them, right? But the thing is that humanity has been manipulated by, you know, who they would say like really fallen angels. Angels that, like, there was a battle in the heavens, right? And meaning different star nations were fighting, right? And ones that lost actually got imprisoned within the earth. And this is recorded in many different traditions, right? And yeah, from there, they've been manipulating us. It's these inner earth beings that are responsible for a lot of the war and the conflict that we see, you know, and as well as division, you know.
You know, it's real interesting you say that. When I was young, I had this reoccurring dream that there was a battle in space, in the heavens as we call it. And I had it over and over and over again. But when I got to a certain age, probably when I got to high school, I stopped dreaming it. But when I was young, I used to be like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, it was like literally a war in space, like ships, fireballs and shit like that. It was the weirdest shit ever. And it would just be a reoccurring dream. But you just brought up that memory. That's a memory that's in me that I forgot about it, but when certain people say certain things, it comes out. So that's real interesting.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
The battle between angels and them inner earth beings is fought in the mind of humanity. That's where that's the battleground.
The mind of humanity.
Who's gonna win? Our destiny is, you know, like, our destiny right now is one of the most important things in the galaxy.
Our destiny.
Our destiny.
So we the greatest show on Earth.
In the galaxy right now.
We the greatest show in the galaxy.
Yeah.
That make us feel important, man.
But
why
it's like that problem child. It's that problem child. You got a lot of children, right?
Right.
And you got children like they self-determined. They grown up. They like doing their thing. They producing their own youth. They prosperous. You're gonna just smile upon them and maybe give them a little encouragement, right?
Right.
But then that one, you got that one that like, God dang, every time you turn around, they wilding out. You got to give them a lot of attention, and a lot of they're gonna have your. And they gonna call grandma, and they gonna call auntie, right? That's us right now, man.
That's us, huh?
That's us right now, man. We're at a critical point, you know? We don't know how this thing is gonna go. Like, as when I was in my younger days, my faith that that goodness was gonna just win this thing was, you know, like unshakable. Right now, I don't know what we're destined for.
Wow.
We have some hard lessons to learn and not a lot of time.
Right. What would you say is the best way to communicate with the star nations? I hear a lot of people talk about the mushrooms. I'm asking you this because I hear a lot of people talk about the mushrooms, and that's how they could communicate with us, through the mushrooms. So do you agree with that? And if not, what would you say is the best way to communicate with these star nations?
Well, the first thing we have to do is to master our mind. We have to make sure that we know, because when you think about how we think for a moment, we experience thoughts as words we hear in our mind. So there's inner communication going in our mind, right? Who's saying what? And what voice has your attention and you listening to the most?
Right.
First thing is that you have to discern that within yourself and be clear, because we have our higher consciousness, that divine spark that's within us. That voice could speak to us. Then we have the voice of, like what we would say, angels, or Orisha, or Netter, or, you know, forces of creation that come, like angel means messenger. They bring the message of creation that you need to hear to be in alignment with life force, you know. We also got ancestors dropping information in our heavens, right? If we're not disciplined, our mind could be open to influences from any entity on the unseen side. Okay? So before you dealing with any mushrooms or intending any communion with Star Nation, you first just got to be sure that you're clear in your heavens and know how you think and know what a guan in your mind. Then and only then will you be in a position to communicate with the Star Nations, and more than likely, if you put yourself in that position, what you have to do will be revealed from within.
Some people will say, why don't these Star Nations just, if we're being oppressed, and it's pretty obvious if you turn on the television what's going on, if you walk down the street what's going on, why don't the Star Nation just intervene right now? We've suffered long enough.
Good question. There's a couple of reasons. One,
you wouldn't let your child just sit there and suffer, right? You would immediately...
You're right. Well, just on one level. Within creation, certain omniversal law. One of those is the law of free will.
Okay.
Law of free will.
Right.
Meaning, they're not going to do anything that isn't aligned with our free will. And like I said, right now, we helpless. How many people's intention is it to align with the Star Nation in the first place?
Right.
Okay? So they're not going to violate our free will. We got to put ourselves in a position where they can intervene for us. Second, like I said, if they attempted to intervene right now, more than likely, because of the fear factor put in by Follywood, half of us would hurt ourselves. If the Star Nation would appear right now, half the people out here would hurt themselves, man. They'd be running into them hot ass chicken grills, right? They'd be running grandma over, heart attacks, okay? They'd hurt themselves, okay? And then, have we learned the lessons that put us here in the first place? Meaning, if they were to come and just take out the leadership that's in place right now, will we create a better tomorrow, or will we create the current today? I don't know, man. When I hear some of our leaders and I hear the hate where even they be hating on ourselves. It's very, you know, it's very Trumpish. So, you know, we got hard lessons to learn, brother, and not a lot of time.
Do you think we came down here to learn a lesson or to experience who we already are through this dimension? It's a unique experience.
It's a very unique experience.
A very unique experience. It's
very unique.
It's like if I put virtual reality goggles on you right now, you would think that shit is real. You'll be walking around, we'll be like, yo, what the hell's wrong with Razben? You will forget you Razben. You will think that virtual reality realm is really your realm. So it's almost like the game seems immature at times. This game, it almost seems immature. Even if we get everything we want, it seems to get immature at times, you know. Is there a bigger purpose besides just learning a lesson?
Well, this is the realm where we ultimately, I would say, you learn about that law of free will. And I would say ultimately, this realm is about having free will, but choosing to submit to omniversal law. Choosing to align our will with the will of creation, you know? And once we master that, then we can actually go to higher dimensions and other planes within this galaxy.
Because the birds, they don't use free will. They just follow a system.
They obedient.
They obedient. The animals are straight. We're the only.
Obedience is greater than sacrifice. Obedience is its own reward. When you study Sun Ra, who says he came from Saturn, he said that everybody wants freedom. He said we should value obedience over freedom. That's what Sun Ra said. And I understand that.
He means obedience to the omniversal law?
Omniversal law, brother. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which, you know, we could say there's 7 basic. Law of mentalism, that everything is mind, you know. Yeah, the Hermetic principles, you know. That everything and all is all. Everything is one, interconnected and related, you know. There's a cause and effect to everything. Every action going to bring about an equal and opposing reaction. There's a law of polarity. Everything that manifests is going to bring into existence its polar opposite, you know. The law of gender, those two polar opposites, when they come together, energy is created, you know. So, yeah, it's those laws, it's the disobedience of those laws ultimately that keep us in this condition. Saturn makes sure we on time. Consequences of not being on time or being where you're supposed to be for your destiny, Saturn holds you accountable. You know, lack of discipline, misuse of time, you know, you kick back, we say, idle time. Saturn accounts you for all of that, you know? But see, Saturn also brings us our rewards of time. You know, you invest some works in someone, then 10, 15 years later, you see the reward of that. You know, or you put your money in something or whatever. You just commit your time to something. Like me, I've been doing this crystal thing for 30 years, you know? When I first started, yeah, man, I had to like create my audience, you know? It was like, you know, I'd have elders come up to me talking about what's this got to do with, you know, I was at a African Liberation Festival. This elder came up to me and was like, what's this got to do with African liberation? You know? That's what put me on the quest of writing the book and everything, having to answer that question.
What was your answer?
I didn't have an answer for that. That was, I'm telling you, that was the spark. Cause the way I got into it, I just liked him. I ain't even know why.
You resonated with him.
I resonated with him.
Right,
I vibed with him. But I ain't even study him. I ain't know nothing about him. So when he asked me that, I was caught off guard. So then I started studying and researching. This is Saturn. This is what Saturn does, right? So I started studying and researching, and I would make these laminates. You know, these laminate sheets, crystals in the Bible, crystals in melanin, crystals in kemet, and have them on my table. So when elders would hit me with that, I'd have something for them, you know? Then one time an elder came and looked at me and was like, he read all of them, one after the other, and was like, you need to write a book. I said, you know what, I will. That was 1992.
92, wow.
This was 1992. It took 8 years for the first edition to come out. 8 more years for the reprint. Came out 08. Now here we are 10 years after that. I don't have to create my audience. You know, people come looking for me now. Just when you commit to something, the Saturn returns are 28 years, 29 years. So I'm really in my Saturn return as far as doing these crystal works. And I'm receiving the rewards of time of putting in that effort. You know, so if you're not scared of your responsibility, Saturn can be your best friend. Saturn represents everything that comes to you through your own blood, sweat, tear, effort, and toil. Jupiter represents everything that comes to you just from being a citizen of an abundant omniverse. Mango tree, it don't just produce 2 mango, it produces 388 mango every season. So, creation is just abundant, and things come to us through no effort of our own, just being in an abundant omniverse. That's Jupiter. The difference between them things, what Jupiter gives us is easy come, easy go, here today, gone tomorrow. What Saturn gives us, we keep through eternity, through all our lifetimes. So that's what Saturn represents.
Saturn gives us an eternal lesson.
Saturn gives us our eternal lessons, and Saturn holds us accountable for all of our deeds throughout eternity. That's why people are scared of Saturn, brother, because people don't want to. How many people do you know, like when you think about them, the first characteristic that comes to mind is, oh, they're responsible and accountable.
Right, I get what you're saying, right.
Not, you know.
I get what you're saying.
Even if they are, it's not something we value that much. You know, time is definitely, we create our own time. And I honor that, you know, but does Chronos. That's, you know.
Indeed. So you've been studying this for quite some time. Last question. So much hoopla about flat Earth, brother. What do you think about the flat Earth theory?
Well, first institution in my research, from what I understand, first institution advocating flat Earth was Rome. It was the Vatican.
Was where? Rome?
The Vatican, yeah. So I'm naturally opposed to Vatican doctrine. By its nature and design, I'm going to question it. And who fought down early science more than the Vatican? And what I would say is the ultimate battle is being fought on dimensionality, okay? Where the more dimensions we can access, the less control or dominion they have over us. The less dimensions we can access, the more control that they'll have over us. They attempt to control us on the 4th dimension, which is time, which is Saturn, which is Chronos. We have the 3 spatial dimensions, right? And the 4th dimension is time. If you control someone's time, you will naturally control their space, all right? And if you can Another way you can control their space is just to eliminate a whole dimension out of their perception of it. Because what a dimension is an axis that allows you to go in either direction. So you have option, you have potential for movement on an axis. So yeah, they would want to eliminate a whole dimension out of our reality by this flat earth, you know? And so I think it's trickery and fuckery. I think it's also an effort to just muddle the waters, to discredit all of us, to make us all look like we're flat earthers of some type, with some old, where are you coming from with this bullshit? Like, you're not really studying nothing, you're just coming up with some fuckery out your mind, you know? So, whose agenda is it ultimately serving? That's what I ask. I don't feel like it's serving ours. And I don't think our ancestors operated out of a flat earth paradigm, you know? So that's my, for whatever, my 2 cents on it, you know?
Listen, man, I definitely appreciate your time as always, my brother. I want you got a lot of interesting information. I want you to leave your contact information, website, everything, so that people can get in touch with you.
Yes, my website is rasben.com. RASBEN.com. I'm working to do better on my social media presence. I'm actually just working with some youth. It ain't me, because I don't know, I can't work that reality. I like being here and now, you know what I'm saying? But I do have a IG and Facebook presence, Rasben188. My YouTube channel is Rasben188, and cutting edge videos. Current project, I'm working on sealing up a publication that's going to be called Great Mystery Philadelphia, an urban act of magic, which really is going to explore Philadelphia as a foundry of all things powerful in this nation, including this country. That's why I was birthed there. And indigenous reality related to this land as Lenape-Hoken. And yeah, I'm, you know, honored to be bringing these works out soon. So look for a GoFundMe campaign on it, so you could pre-order your book, help me publish it, all right? You know, everybody do a little bit, nobody will have to do a lot. And I do still got Rocks of Ages come out, you know, it's out, available at rasben.com. First culturally centered, indigenous centered look at crystals and sacred stones, you know, waking the earth keeper within. So Brother Rich, give thanks, it's an honor. I've been flying under the radar for really a couple of years now.
I see.
You see, I clipped my locks.
I see, man.
I had to bury a lot of ancestors in a little bit of time.
Okay.
And I had a lot of healing to do from that.
Right.
And I had a lot to let go.
Okay.
So, you know, it is what it is. I've done it. I'm here. I'm still doing the works, you know, and just thank you for giving me, because your platform definitely opens up a lot of portals for me. And I appreciate love it, Star.
Indeed, that's what I'm here for, my brother. So thanks for coming on once again. Make sure you show support to the brother. This Brother Rich Underground Railroad. We signing out, family. Peace.
Yes, I.
Black magic, God, Holy Ghost, Lord, orgasmic, order more acid, more than 4 tablets, portal door passage, born before mortal war happened. We were lords way before we were poor black men. Now we like Catherine, only having 4 Jacksons. Swore to pure magic, slaughter 4 dragons. Heat like corduroy fabric, door-to-door tactics. Easy like tortoise on boarded floor backspins. Rapping like the man that created it, and I just play with it. Shine radiant, raising it, sunbathing it. Voice tone sharper than razor tip. When I aim it at megaliths, make them raise and lift. You can't relate to this, even if you paint a pic of me and you and somehow make the faces switch. I like to babysit, throne made of baby skin. Donated by natives that procreate in sin. They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him. I heard the devil's Tasmanian. Raps made them spin fast, vast, hailing winds. Abstract radiance. Underneath my crack cranium is gas radium. Hash cascadian, cash cascading in. At the end of the movie, the crack baby wins. Pack track stadiums, clap, clap, praising him. Tap that waitress, have crack, crack.